Hi there. Well, at the request of you guys, I will do a review of one of my own games. This channel is named Lace and Steel. I did a role-playing game called Lace and Steel, plus as a pretty high-ranked swordsman and dressed like this, Lace and Steel, still seems to be very appropriate for my life. So, to reel back, I am a big enthusiast for 17th and 18th century European history. I've been a history student all my life. These days, of course, reading stuff every single day. I am enamored by the histories of all kinds of places. My first love, English Civil War. For some reason, English Civil War. When I was in high school, pretty much first day of high school, I ploughed into the wonderful school library where I found the Purple Primer, the FX Guide to Ancient Wargaming. And I'd been overseas to Europe a lot as a kid, and loved knights and castles and things. But there in that school library, there was a book on Oliver Cromwell. And here's this picture of these guys in armour riding horses, but they've got pistols and some kind of carbines. And I was like, as a 12-year-old, you're like, what the hell? Yeah, of course there'd be a crossover. Armour wouldn't just disappear. There must have been a time when armour was kind of still around and guns were. So I avidly read this and kind of fell in love with that mid-17th century period. To this day, I still have English Civil War cavalry armour, English Civil War pike armour, everything out the back. So I love also the swashbuckling genre. Big Errol Flynn fan here, Scaramouche, Sabatini novels. Yep, that's me. And this, at that stage, beginning of role-playing through to the 80s, there were really no good swashbuckling games. And so I did one, Lace and Steel. So Lace and Steel is set in a fantasy world that is based on Europe in about 1640. So wheel-lock pistols and wheel-lock carbines, matchlock muskets, swords, some armour, buff coats, three-quarter cuirassier armour, which is going out of style, plumed hats, three musketeers, cavaliers and roundheads, women in amazing ball gowns and so on, daring do and sinister plots. So, there are, in the world that was built for this, I decided to use Romanesque imagery. As you can see from behind me, Romanesque imagery is definitely a thing for the Baroque period. If it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. So there were fantasy races, but I decided we'll use Romanesque, Greco-Romanesque ones. So there are centaurs, harpies, satyrs, and so on. But they are part of this society. So centaurs and so on wearing clothing on the human bits, and with the women are wearing like a skirt on the front and these sorts of things. They're all part of this society. It's just it has some different extra races. But the two things that Lace and Steel did that, well, maybe three things that no one had ever done before, and frankly I want to say no one's ever done well since. First off, combat and conflict. It's a card system. Been a swordsman all my life. I started off with fencing, ended up with Japanese stuff, but started with fencing. Fencing has kind of a nice back and forth to it. Right, so there's a card-based system that brings that in. When you fight someone hand-to-hand with swords and so on, there's a card system. You are dealt cards. There are three different attack lines, high, middle, low. You figure out who has the initiative, and you get different amounts of cards and so on in your hand, depending on your skill, etc. When you have initiative, you play a card face down. They've got different values, but you have to declare what attack line you're on. High. The other guy may now attempt to parry. To parry, he has to come up with a card from his hand, which is in the same line. You then reveal the two cards. If the parry value is equal to or higher than the attack value, then ding, the attack bounces off. If the attack value was lower, e.g. if you've actually beaten the guy with the parry, you get the initiative. If you've just matched it, the guy who's got the initiative continues. Right, so you're trying to effectively, you've got some tactics immediately. You can do things like try and draw high value parry cards out of the guy by playing attacks that are total crap. Bing! Because there are some cards in here which are marked as being feints, which means once you play a feint, you can immediately play another card. There are some which are ripostes, which automatically allow you to do a counter-attack. So you've got these kind of high value cards that you can keep away in there. But essentially, you're trying to bluff the other guy. You're trying to tease his high value cards out in defense against low value attacks that you've made at times when you know you've got the ability to defend yourself. It was a really nice system. The difference between the two cards, if you score a hit, that's the amount of damage that you do. So if you attack him with a 5 and he parries with a 3, the guy will take 2 points of damage. There were some differences for different weapons in there. So if you were going to be fighting with halberds or something, then fine. But melee system, great. Now, repartee. I wanted a social conflict system for this so that you could go to a ball and you could either do something like it's a social battle where you're struggling for significance or struggling to do something like gain an appointment, or you're trying to squish someone in a repartee battle. There's a repartee system that utilizes those cards to basically do a battle of wits. Same, however, uses exactly the same system. However, the high line, those are more intellectual comments. Going low, you're going a bit blue there, but the damage that you're doing is whittling away to the other person's self-image. And effectively, when you've destroyed their ego, that's it. They fled the field. You've won, and you gain experience. So you could do basically bitchy repartee or courtier style repartee and juggling for position with each other. Non-violent combat was a big thing of this. So suddenly, all the court intrigue and sort of stuff is in. This same sort of system can be used for fighting your way through a bureaucracy or something. So it's like, right, I really need to get to see the minister of so-and-so because I'm trying to actually get an appointment so that I can do this or that. However, he's got these guys who are there to stop you from getting appointments. So the same non-combat system, it can be used for administration bureaucracy, battling through the bureaucracy. It's a very flexible system. The rest of the system basically used a 2d6 system to determine tasks. So firearm combat is just a task. I'm rolling to hit, and how well I succeed gives me the damage that I take. Armor allowed you to block some of the damage sometimes, depending on what it was. So in melee, your armor can make some points of damage ping off, unless it's a really solid hit. Same goes for metal armor against firearms. Proofed armor can, which is bulletproof, can lower the damage you get from firearm. But of course the firearm's a single shot and they take a long time to reload. You're getting about a shot a minute with a matchlock. So yeah, it's one volley and then huzzah, away. So it stalled people a little bit at the time because people were used to a D&D style thing where a game is just one fight after another, after another, after another, after another. Whereas in this, if you're in an old Errol Flynn movie, the fights are climactic events. We're trying to bust our way out from being galley slaves, so we have to fight the crew. Okay, well, you guys fight over here. And again, you could roll this over so that these represented group battles, and you could fight a group of opponents. So me versus an aggregate opponent, a lump of guys. As you see in the Three Musketeers, it's usually one guy, and he'll be fighting 4 or 5 Cardinals guards. It was a game that did that. But these are is not a constant stream of these. These are kind of climactic scenes. And then finally, you'll be crossing swords with the bad guy. Haha, looks left, looks right, attend. This game was really good to run at conventions, and I would demo it. I actually went over to Gen Con and those sorts of things all the way from Australia on nothing. And I was running a little table and selling it. But you could get people playing this, and what was neat is, and what they never figured out is, it's a card game one. You can throw the game. Good. And so what I could do is I could literally fight with someone and literally drive them back against the rails. My game. I play it quite well. But There's the guys like, oh, deliberately fudge it and deliberately play crap cards so that he suddenly, sends you reeling back and then beats you back and then wins. And they would feel so good about it. Yeah, this is a great game. It's like, yeah. Yeah. So, yes. Always put the motion dice in their hands. And if you can fudge it, fudge it. So it also took some concepts from my first role-playing game, which was Albedo, which was that things like emotional ties and attachments and things are going to be important, particularly in a game that's based on swashbuckling. Falling in love and being betrayed are very important. So you get these ties and antipathies to things. I have an antipathy towards that nation that I hate. I have an antipathy towards that evildoer. I have an antipathy to the guy that's trying to force that sweet young thing to be his bride. I have a tie towards my friends and companions. I have a tie towards my noble king. I have a tie towards my good shipmates aboard the good ship Crunchy Frog. And they can roll over to be deeper and deeper. Oh, I love this person, etc. When you do things that serve the things that you have ties to, that is good, and it builds up your self-image and makes things work better for you, and you get bonuses on everything. If you have bad things happen to the things you have ties to, self-image can wear away, and you get penalties. So serve the things you like, defeat the things you hate, and build ties and antipathies so that you've got things to serve and fight against. Congratulations, you're a swashbuckler. So this was a game that had kind of conflict in the social realm, allowed you to do courtly things, had mechanisms for ties, antipathies, love, hatred, self-image, what these things did to you, so that the environment you created for your character of loves and hates, loyalties and betrayals kind of drove the game. So very much a first. So I liked it. It was a groundbreaking game, and quite frankly, I'm proud of it. It was published by an Australian publisher that just immediately went under. It was actually kind of a rare game to find. It is up on drive-through now. I have got it and the cards up on drive-through, so you can get it now. The first novel that I had in publication was called Mus of Kerbridge. Mus of Kerbridge is still in print today. You can find it on Amazon, and you can find it on Lulu. And it will soon be there is a publisher actually going to pick this up and do a new version of it. Mus was a lovely, lovely novel. It is set in the Lace and Steel world. It was initially published by TSR Books. The cover was by my old pal Janelle Jaquays. The current cover that I've got is not Janelle's because TSR owned the rights to that and they just vanished. However, I believe Janelle still has that original painting. It's one of her favourites. So here's to you, my friend. But yeah. So that book is still up there, and it's great fun. It was a pretty cool first novel, I have to say. And again, it's swashbuckling, daring do. Boy, you know you're old when some sweet hot young goth chick comes up to you and says, "You wrote my favourite childhood novels." Like, oh, the age crumble. Yeah, so that is out there. There was also an adventure called Castle Keitel, which was brought out. And that is also up there on drive-through. So that is Lace and Steel, my friends. It still really holds a position as sort of it was the first card-based role-playing game. It was kind of really the first game that did bring all those social aspects into role-playing. I haven't actually seen anyone really do things like all those ties, antipathies, loves, and hates, and so on really again. There were some strange moments playing it. Anecdote time. The player who I've referred to here quite frequently as, Toxic Gamer, yes, he played, didn't want to do swordy combat because you can get killed. He would much rather shoot people in the back from a distance. So He just wanted to carry as many guns as possible. So you're playing a game, and it's like he's saying, right, I'll fire at this guy. What are you firing? Oh, pistol. All right, well, you are at extreme range for a pistol. Oh, no, it's a horse pistol. All right, a horse pistol. To explain, a standard kind of infantry pistol, they're not quite in the form you'd think from like 18th century, but it's there. It is a pistol. A horse pistol is another feathered beast entirely. It's a monster. It's 24 to sometimes 30 inches long. They're so heavy that the pommel is iron or steel, and sometimes flanged, so you can hold the thing after you fired it. You can hold it by the muzzle and use this as a mace. So you'll see lots of pictures of cuirassiers in three-quarter armor beating the living snot out of each other with their pistols. And they were so long-barreled because the armor, particularly for cuirassier, was so very, very pistol-proof that the only way to guarantee penetration on a shot was to lunge when you felt the end of the barrel strike the other guy. That's when you pulled the trigger. It's actually more of a melee weapon than a firing weapon for close-in stuff. If they're not fully armoured, yes, Caracola would ride up and but it goes in these huge holsters on either side of your saddle. You draw this thing up, span it, okay, and if you're caracoling, fire, wheel the horse, go to the back of the formation, start reloading the thing. Or if you're in close combat, bang, bang, wait till the pistols are empty, then you'll draw your swords or your axe or your mace, because they've still got these as armor crackers at the time. So anyway, this guy I'm firing a horse pistol. Okay, next turn, I fire another horse pistol. You're on foot and you're carrying horse pistols. Yeah, I've got a pair of horse pistols. You do know these things are enormous. These are 30-inch long pistols. Oh, yeah. I've got one clip to each side of my belt. Oh, Christ's sakes. All right, so you've got one of these giant... So if it's clipped on the side, that means the pommel's kind of almost up in your armpits, but all right, fair enough. All right, what are you doing next turn? I'm firing a pistol. A horse pistol? Yeah. So you're carrying... How many? All right. How many pistols are you carrying? I'm carrying 8. 8 horse pistols. Explain to me, prithee, where you are carrying these horse pistols. He's got one clipped on either side of his belt, hanging vertically down, a 30-inch pistol. He's stuck one down each boot, which means it's projecting up sort of above his waist, so he could kind of, by gripping the pommels, he could kind of pilot himself around like someone doing a hellish cross-country ski trip. I've got another pair stuck through the front of my belt crosswise. He's got another stuck crosswise through the back. So, right, so you can't really go through doors or bend over or mount a horse or really run or jog or even move at a fast walk. Plus you've got these bloody pommels sticking out of it. So you couldn't fight hand to hand either because you've got these things everywhere. So, yeah, idiot. There was actually one scenario where he's on guard at night, and in the dawn he hears something muttering and mumbling, and he goes into the meadow, and there's a flower, and he sees this fairy's bum sticking out of this flower as they're collecting pollen. They're muttering about the Earl King, about how this guy wants his bloody pollen bread first thing in the morning. He couldn't have told them a day before. Mutter. So he runs up and he grabs hold of the fairy. Oh, now you got to give me you got to give me treasure and superpowers. And says, what? He says, let me go, you idiot. Give me superpowers or I'll squeeze you to death. So this thing, you know what? You're behaving like an ass, so you shall be one. Bing! And it just does it, and the fairy's gone, mate. The fairy has disappeared. What? Oh, did it leave me with any treasure or anything? No, it did not. Fairies are way more traditional European-y fairies, and had a lot more ode to Jack Vance than to her leprechauns. But it's all right. So you come back to the others. They've heard a bit of a fracas, and one of the other players sits up and says, "Oh, so what was that?" He says, "Oh, I don't know. It was stuff all, really." He says, "No, you say it was stuff all. What do I say then? You don't know." I said, "Oh, I don't know. Well, anyway, well, we'll have to break camp, I guess. So we'll just everyone gather everything up." I says, "No, You say, everyone, gather everything all up. What? This guy's slowly turning into a donkey. So at the end of the day, his fingernails have gone kind of black, and his lips are a bit big, and his ears are kind of dark and a little bit longer and a bit hairier. And then the next day, his ears are a bit longer, and the end of his nose is kind of turning a bit black, the ends of his fingers are now like little hooves, and yeah, day by day he was turning into a donkey. However, the other guys found someone and said, oh, how do we break this? Well, you have to get the fairy that cast that curse to take it off. Oh, how do we find that one? How would he get them? Well, you'd have to give them something they really want, but you'd have to find that exact fairy. Or if the Earl King ordered them to do it, they'd have to do it. So they came up with a plan. The Earl King, as it turned out, often goes around in human form at this famous market that would be held twice a year. And, it's going to be held in about a week. They're actually coming down to the market anyway. But lots of magical, wonderful stuff is sold at this market. So the Earl King is looking for incredible, strange, weird curios. That's what kind of gets his attention. And they found out that what he's particularly looking for is he was trying to find these dinosaur souls in a jar, which have got holes in the lid so the dinosaur souls can breathe, so you don't have to worry. Right, so their plan was, we'll mock up some of those. And it turns out, essentially, the Earl King can only change form if he's wearing his hat. And he always wears a red hat. If you take his hat, he can't change back into fairy form. And he's not allowed to snatch it off you. But he will trade for it, because these are kind of the laws under which he's allowed to operate in mortal realms. So if you can set up a stall that will bring him in, and have someone snatch his hat, you can say, good, we'll give you a hat if you order that fairy to take the curse off, my friend. So these guys have got a plan, they've got the props, and toxic game, I'm just shooting myself, because the game's stupid now. All right, kill yourself, bye. The Castle Keitel scenario, it's a court intrigue. So, but there's two noble sisters at this castle and so on, and it's like, what's happening is there's some skullduggery going on, and they're not sure. They're not sure what's happening. Something strange is going on. So these guys have all come to Castle Keitel. They've been told to deliver a message and so on, but they're from outside of this whole area. So, right, guys, you come into the main throne room. There are 4 guards kind of standing around this throne with halberds and so on. There's a couple out on the main door inside, but you come into the throne room, and yes, we are here to see the Baron. All right. A page says, I shall summon him. Please wait here. Off he goes. Okay, guys, a side door opens. A young woman, she's noble, she's well-dressed. She comes into the room, and she sees you guys, and, looks like she gets an idea. And she murmurs something to one of the guards, who looks at you guys and nods, and, okay. And a guard comes over, and he says, once you've delivered the message, I wonder if you'd be so kind as to wait in the in the northern sitting room. Apparently her ladyship wishes to ask a question of you. Toxic Gamer turned, is she still in the room? I said, yes, she is. What colour is her hair? I says, her hair is long and black. I said, I shoot her. I said, what? I shoot her. You shoot her. You draw one of your now severely rationalised, not horse pistols. You just shoot her. Yeah. Okay, roll away. Oh yeah. I hit her. Yeah, critical damage. Yeah, it kills her. The guards race in, and everyone else in the party just basically immediately says, we flee as far away from this guy as possible, and point him and say, we don't know him. Good. All right. Yeah. See, I got her. All right. These guys just hack you to death with halberds. Well, I'm not fighting it. 3 guys just hack you to death with halberds. It's done. Why did you shoot this woman? She had black hair, therefore she must have been evil. This guy, by the way, was one of the really early Islamophobes. Like, he was crazy, anti-Islamic, etc., way back in the 70s. So, the flags of him being a total twant were just always there. It's just, it got worse with age. Anyway, so yes, there are some weird moments when you're trying to put swashbuckly, intriguey play onto people who are normally used to basically just bashing people on the head with a magic axe. However, Lace and Steel, a game with great potential. It's nice to have it out. Faros Press brought out like a second edition of it, but it was there were no changes. It was just the same game under a different banner, and now it's just self-published by me up there online. The artwork is by Donna Barr, who did a lot of Centauri-based artwork and so on. So yes, the artwork in Lace and Steel is fabulous. It's her wonderfully eclectic, beautifully researched style and everything. So I'm glad it's still out there. I hope you guys take a look at it. And I shall see you on. Cheers.